Moving on to Genesis 25. Good boy, Linda. The death of Abraham. The descendants of Ishmael. Boring. And Jacob and Esau. Little known fact, James is the Greek version of the name Jacob. That's why Christ's brother Jacob, also known as James, as he's referred to. Verse 1, King James Version. Then again Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimran, and Jokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shuah, and Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letuthshim, and Leumim. They sound like metals, man. Like, I feel like I'm reading the table of freaking table of elements or whatever. And the sons of Midian, Ephah, and Epher, and Henoch, and Ebediah, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. Alright, so this is basically his second wife. Hagar was never his wife. It was Sarah's handmaid that she wanted Abraham to be able to have a child with, and they would raise together, and it didn't really work out that way. But this is his second wife he ends up taking after Sarah dies, because he can still have kids. So he's like, fruitful and multiply, keep going with it, you know. But it's pretty obvious, you know. I mean, I shouldn't say it's obvious, but his true love was Sarah. This second wife is probably just more of one to continue the line and have kids and spread the glory of God through your descendants and all that jazz. But it's through Isaac's line that the blessing continues, insofar as they're the ones who have to be responsible for holding this message generation after generation after generation. Now, obviously, he's teaching the teachings of God to all of his kids, but Isaac's lineage is the one who has to hold on to it. Alright, verse 5 through 6. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, and Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. So, concubines, I don't know if this is referring to Keturah, his second wife, or the just concubines that he might have had. Either way, all of his kids, you know, like Ned Stark in Game of Thrones, I'm going to keep doing these references, he takes care of his bastards. He takes care of all of his kids. He gives them money, gives them, you know, camels and livestock and gifts and all these things, but sends them on their way. And the importance of this is, in the ancient times, is very common for brothers to war with brothers. And if they didn't war, it was their descendants. So 2-3 generations down the road, you know, the brothers may love each other. The first cousins may love each other. But the third, fourth generation are like, why did they inherit? We deserve it. We're of their bloodline. We deserve it. And they begin to clash and war. It's like, you know, when a parent dies and brothers, sisters, or grandchildren fight over the will. That's why he sends them away. He doesn't want them, he wants them to go with these gifts and start their own thing, so that they don't threaten Isaac's line. And it's, again, like everything that Abraham does, very shrewd. Moving on, verse 7 through 8. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived 150 years, which is 175. Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. So he lived a good life. And that's pretty much what it's saying. And his sons, Isaac and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zahor the Hittite, which is before Mamre. the field which Abraham purchased, we read about 2 chapters ago, of the sons of Heth, where was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife. So the Ishmael and Isaac come back together to bury their father. Now, say what you will about Ishmael, and say what you will about his descendants and what ends up becoming of them. And I don't think this is necessarily the case with Jacob and Esau later on, but here I think it does show us that Ishmael and Isaac came to at least an understanding and agreement. Let's love one another, sort of thing. We both shared love for our father. We can at least bury him together and show respect and kindness to one another. I don't think at this point in their lives there's a lot of animosity. I think Ishmael went his own way and kind of found his own way in life, and he doesn't seem to be bothered by Isaac getting the inheritance. Esau and his lineage over Jacob, which we'll get into, is a little different, however. All right. Verse 11, and it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt by the well, Lahoroi, which is where he first saw his wife Rebekah, actually. And now it's Isaac's turn, is basically what's going on here. There's not a lot about Isaac as an adult in the Bible. It goes from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob, but it's Abraham, Jacob, as far as like stories go, because Isaac doesn't seem to do a whole lot, apparently. He probably just carries the word and carries the message, but not a whole lot of miracles or anything like that going on. Verse 12 through 16, the descendants of Ishmael. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, from Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, and Kedar, and Adbeel, and Mizbam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadar, and Tema, Jetur, and Nephish, and Kedemah. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names, by their towns and by their castles, 12 princes according to their nations. So this was the promise given to Hagar and Abraham when Ishmael was sent away. He would also be a great nation, and he would have 12 princes come of his line. These 12 sons develop their own cities, their own towns, their own kingships. They start them under their names. Like the kingship is named after the person who starts it, which are these sons, the 12 princes of Ishmael, who would serve the descendants of Abraham through Isaac eventually, but they are also unwieldy, just as it was predicted, in that they never really give in to subjugation by other peoples. They're always, even when their kingships get wiped out, they become nomads. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he gave up the ghost and died, and was gathered unto his people. And they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, that is before Egypt, as thou goest toward Assyria, and he died in the presence of all his brethren. So he lived a good life as well. And remember, he's much older than Isaac, okay? Because Isaac was born when they were late in life, Sarah and Abraham. So now Abraham's passed away, Ishmael's had his 12 princes, and he's passed away. Now we're basically just at Isaac, and we're going to get into Isaac and his baby boys. Verse 19, and these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. And Isaac, I always wonder if Lebanon, who knows. And Isaac entreated the Lord of his wife, because she was and Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah his wife conceived, and the children struggled together within her. Well, before we get into that, so basically Rebekah, much like Sarah, is not able to get pregnant. So Isaac prays and prays, and entreats Lord on her behalf, and then she ends up becoming pregnant. Remember, it said that Rebekah was extremely fair, just like Isaac's mother, Sarah, was extremely fair. Both these women were not able to conceive very easily. Something about these super sexy, probably narrow-hipped women that they couldn't conceive very easily. Remember that. Narrow hips, not childbearing hips. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" And she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said unto her. Okay. Before I get into what the Lord said unto her, remember, this is Isaac prayed for her to conceive. She did. She felt two babies kind of struggling her. She's like, what is going on here? What's this about? And then the Lord reveals to her, not to Isaac. Now, that doesn't mean that Isaac wasn't told by Rebekah about this. Or was she? Who knows? But this is revealed to Rebekah. Remember that. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. They're different. They're different in strength. They're different in manner. There's twins. Yahoo! Twins! So that's basically what he's told, but he's telling her of what's going to happen. One will be stronger than the other. One people will be stronger than the other people, because these are going to become 2 great nations. But what will happen is the older will end up serving the younger. And that's the key. And remember, this is revealed to Rebekah, not necessarily to Isaac. We know for sure it's revealed to Rebekah, don't necessarily know Isaac. Also, and the other, where it says, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people. Who's it referring to? Because physical strength, Esau's line is much stronger than Jacob's line. But as far as godly strength, Jacob's line is more powerful. And Jacob's line becomes the more powerful one, and that's why Esau's line serves his line. But which one are they talking about specifically? Because like I said, Esau's line is physically stronger. Are they talking about his line being stronger, but that will lead to their pride? Or is he just straight up talking that Jacob's line will be stronger? Who knows? But there's 2 manner of people, 2 different demeanors entirely. They're not going to be alike. Verse 24 through 26. When her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel. His name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. 60 years old, I think that means. Yeah, 60. So, a few things to remember. Jacob, which is same as James, it literally means the supplanter, or to clasp the heel of the elder, because that's what he did when he came out, and he supplanted his brother Esau's blessing, which we'll get into. But remember that he is the younger. Esau is the older. He comes out holding the heel. That's literally what Jacob means, is to supplant or to hold the heel of the elder. Esau comes out red-haired all over. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean anything, but one thing to remember is that the Nephilim, these beings that, whether you believe them or not, were believed in the ancient world, these half-breeds of fallen angels and human women, demigods, were often portrayed as red-haired, hairy red-haired people. Often had 6 fingers and 6 toes. Also, double rows of teeth also is another big thing. But the red hair is a big trait given to them. You even see these with Native American culture and the legend of their giants, like the Anasazi and whatnot. It's the red hair. So that's something that stands out to someone who knows Hebrew lore, is that Red, red, red. Don't need to make anything of it. It may not have meant anything, but the people might have seen it that way. Verse 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, just like Nimrod, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. So, remember back earlier in Genesis, Nimrod uses his hunting prowess and cunning to amass a following of people behind him because he can provide meat, and it's seen as a way of strength. Jacob, and that's what Esau is doing here, he's a cunning hunter, hunting, and people see that as a masculine thing. They see that as someone of power and strength and someone to be followed. And it does take cunning to track and hunt. So this is who Esau is. Jacob is plain. He's meek. He's simple. He dwells in the tents. So you have one person. Now, hunting in and of itself is not a bad thing at all. No. But the way that Esau most likely is going about it is he was getting tons of praise for it. Like, he brought back venison again, so we can eat meat without it hurting our livestock, which is basically like their currency at the time. So he's given all this praise and this, you're the best, Esau, you're so amazing, you're the best because you're a hunter. And he's like, yeah. Whereas Jacob is much more humble about life, and he doesn't really see the need to hunt, and he likes to stay in the tent where it's cool probably, and that sort of thing. He's much more about taking care of, the finances and the day-to-day operations, whereas Esau wants to go out and hunt, be cunning, take care of the manly work, which is fine. And it doesn't mean that Jacob didn't, help with the herds and that sort of thing. But Esau was much more of a man's man type of thing. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison. Again, he gets to eat meat, which is like a delicacy. Our diets aren't supposed to be bulk meat. They're supposed to be bulk fruits and vegetables, and then some grain and some meat on special occasions and stuff. And they didn't want to butcher a lamb or a cow or everything all the time because that was like their currency rate. That was how they displayed their wealth and whatnot. So to be able to eat meat that's been hunted that doesn't hurt your wealth is a huge treat. Now he has this son who can hunt all the time. He gets to bring him back all this food that he enjoys. He's like, this is my boy. This is my boy. Bringing me back the venison once again. And Rebekah loved Jacob because, again, he was probably more like in the tent, spending time with his mom, that sort of thing. So Esau is kind of sucking up to his dad. Jacob's kind of just like, you could say he's sucking up to his mom, but really he's just being himself sort of thing. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore his name was called Edom, which translates to, that is red. So he comes in from the field, Esau, all tired from working, and Jacob has made this red porridge, and Esau's like, I'm famished, come on, I need something to eat, give me some of that food, that stuff right there. And what ends up happening is Jacob says, and Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage and lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. And Esau despised his birthright. So what just happened there? You can look at it, a lot of people will say Jacob is kind of a dirty trickster. But what you need to understand, first off, Esau probably didn't really think that he was going to lose his birthright. He probably thought his brother was joking, and Jacob may have been just joking around with him. But what it shows to God is that Esau doesn't really care much about this birthright, which some God could already see. He could already tell that he was loving the praise that he got from being a hunter and not really taking the time to get to know God and to get to know what it was going to take to be a blessing to the world and to spread the word, the message of God. Whereas Jacob was learning these things and he saw the value in this birthright. Esau says he despised his birthright. Basically, he didn't care. He's like, what good does it do to me? I'm famished here. I need some food. Take it. I don't care. Who gives a crap about that birthright? I want food. Give me earthly things. Screw that heavenly thing, is what he's saying. And God sees this. That's why in the future, it will become clear why Jacob needs to inherit, because Jacob actually cares about the birthright. Esau doesn't give a flipping F-nut about it. He doesn't care at all. And people say Jacob is, tricky and it's not really fair the way he goes about it. Whatever. Like, you're just nitpicky now. Esau didn't give a crap about his inheritance. He didn't give a crap about the birthright specifically. He might have cared about the inheritance because he saw the money and the prestige, but he didn't care whatsoever about carrying the message of God generation to generation and the blessing to the people and the strife that he'd have to go through to accomplish this. That was not even, who gives a crap is what he thinks on that one. I'm famished. Give me my red porridge. So that's what you need to understand in what's going on. Jacob values the birthright. Esau has no value in it whatsoever. It's less to him than just some porridge. And I talked about Hebrew lore already. This is kind of off the wall stuff, but it's believed that Esau, by some, I shouldn't say believe, but it's just like a lore, a Hebrew lore thing. Just like there's American lore and European lore and all kinds of things. Hebrew lore, that Esau became a vampire, basically. That he was a vampire. I know it sounds crazy, but his name becomes Edom, the red porridge. It's said that it was blood. And when he sold his birthright, he basically sold his soul. He basically decided that he was all about the earthly and not whatsoever about the heavenly. And that's like an extreme version, and obviously not something I believe, but it is Hebrew lore that Esau becomes a vampire at this point, basically. Not like a vampire, but he becomes a vampire, is Hebrew lore. And that's kind of ridiculous, but that's just another way of saying that, when you're a vampire, you give up the heavenly for the earthly. And that's what Esau does here. He gives up the heavenly for the earthly. Heavenly, who cares? I want the earthly. Jacob is like, I want the heavenly. I know the importance of it. I know how much it matters. I'm going to focus on that. And then we'll get further into basically how Jacob steals the blessing and everything like that. But I don't see it as a steal. I really don't. Esau becomes a burden to his parents and woesome to his parents because he marries multiple women of the Canaanite line and starts worshiping their gods because he doesn't care about the supernatural heavenly. He cares about the earthly. Sexy women, lots of sex. Their whole religion is about banging all the time and all this stuff. So that's Genesis 25. Not the most interesting, but still something to be learned, as there is at every verse of the Bible. God bless and have a wonderful day, evening, whatever it may be.